And so it's always so interesting to me how much attention people do not pay to their emotional health. When we're sick, we go to the doctor. When you have asthma, you utilize your pump. However, when it comes to our emotional health, we often ignore it. And so when we think about emotional health, what is that exactly? It's your mental, psychological, and social well-being all wrapped up into one. Your emotional health impacts how you interact with others. It impacts how motivated you are on a job. It impacts your sleep. It impacts anything you come into contact with. Your emotional health impacts that. However, there's such a negative stigma associated with that in today's society. If you seek counseling or you seek any type of psychotherapy, you're crazy, it makes no sense, it means you're weak, you should be able to handle it, it means that you have faith. All of these different things I've heard and worked with individuals who thought of that, and they have such a negative connotation when it comes to counseling or taking care of your emotional health. And so I often ask, okay, a person who has asthma, if they're having an asthma attack, would you withhold their pump and tell them, no, you should be able to be stronger than that? Or if a person is having some symptomology in terms of stomach pain or chest pain, would you ridicule them for wanting to see a doctor? No, most of the time we don't. And so why, when it comes to our emotional health, one of the most prominent factors in our lives that impacts how we interact with any aspect, job, children, family, relationships, why don't we take that seriously? And so I challenge you to take a look at your emotional health and to ask yourself some of the questions that I've asked myself. Why is your emotional health not as important? Now, as a culture, it's not something that we're taught in school. It's not something that in most families are talked about. We don't sit around talking about how do you express your anxiety? How do you express your depression? However, it's something that all of us day to day deal with. It's something that everyone at some point in their lives experience. And so I just want to bring attention to the fact that counseling or psychotherapy is not seen as a weakness. It's not a negative thing. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing or you're a weak person. All it simply means is that there are a set of tools that you're open to learning. And when you go to counseling, you're learning those tools to help you become an even more effective person. So for those of you who are struggling with anxiety or depression or frustration or having a life transition, whether it be kids moving away to college or a divorce, any of those things, when you go to counseling, it's just learning tools to better help you cope with whatever life is throwing your way. And if you think of it like that, I think you'd be more open to talking to someone or putting your emotional health first. So just something to consider. If you're struggling with anything, and even good stress is still stress. It could be something exciting like moving to a new city. You have a new job offer, and that emotions come with that as well. You're nervous, you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, you may be questioning yourself. And talking to someone to ensure your emotional health is intact doesn't hurt. I will tell people, a lot of people are often afraid to dive into those feelings because they say they don't know how they're going to react. I've never went there before. I don't know how I may respond, or the pain is too much. I don't know how I'm going to respond to it. And those are valid fears. You're absolutely right. When you're kind of in uncharted waters, it's very scary. It's unpredictable, right? So we stick to what we know. But what I will tell you is that I've never met anyone who has lost their mind for talking about their feelings. Now, I will tell you, I have met people on the opposite end who have lost it because of holding a whole lot of emotions in, whether it be anger, resentment, frustration, sadness. But I have yet to meet someone who has lost it because they've decided to take a step back and put their emotional health first and really sift through some of all of those uncomfortable feelings that a lot of us run away from. So, with that being said, your emotional health is just as important as your physical health in any other aspect of your life, your career, job opportunities, relationships, because your emotional health directly impacts all of those things. And so when you put all of those things into perspective, it's a wonder why we don't take our emotional health more seriously, especially with it being so directly related to our physical health. I have lots of individuals who are referred to me from doctors because there is nothing medically wrong with them. They've done blood tests, they've done labs, and the person is in superior health. But because of anxiety or frustration or stress, they're having all of these heart palpitations or physical symptoms, but it's really related directly to their emotional health. So something for you to think about, a little bit of food for thought. Your emotional health is just as important as any other aspect of your life. So take it seriously. And it doesn't mean that you're weak. It takes a really strong person to have a seat and talk about themselves and really take a look at themselves and what are some of the complicated things that may be going on in their life and how to sift through them. That takes strength. So don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.